I meal prep high protein balanced meals every week. They make my life so much easier, but one difficulty after meal prepping is the piles and piles of dirty dishes on meal prep day. So this week I challenged myself to make all three main meals, breakfast, lunch and dinner, using just these three pots and pans to minimize cleanup and make meal prep less stressful. In this video I will show you how I made everything. Starting with dinner, I made chicken pulao in one pot. I started by spraying some oil in the pot and sautéing cumin seeds. Then I wanted fried onions, but instead of using fresh onions and frying them, I used dried fried onions to save some time. I get these from an Indian store nearby and keep some for when I'm running out of fresh onions or feel too lazy to chop an onion. Then I chopped about 300 grams of chicken and added that to the pot. I seasoned the chicken with turmeric, red chili powder, garam masala and salt. I mixed it all thoroughly to make sure that each chicken piece is fully coated in spices. Once it started getting brown on the edges, I added bay leaves and cloves to the pot and added about 1.5 cups of water and let it simmer. It creates a fragrant chicken broth. While that was simmering, I washed 1 cup of basmati rice and let it soak in water for a few minutes. Soaking basmati rice not only helps it cook faster but also enhances its fluffy texture, making it perfect for dishes like pulao. Once the water in the pot became fragrant and on the verge of a boil, I added the drained rice. I know my pot is not big enough, but it's the only non-stick pot I have. Since I don't use any oil or ghee in my rice sticks to the pot unless I'm using non-stick material, so I stuck with this small pot. I covered it up and let it cook on medium heat. While waiting for the rice to be cooked, I moved on to breakfast. Directly on a medium-sized non-stick baking sheet, I sprayed some oil and whisked 2 whole eggs along with 500 grams of egg whites with a bit of salt, pepper, turmeric and red chili powder. If you don't have a non-stick sheet, you can line it with parchment paper to prevent sticking. Mixing in both whole and white eggs is a perfect balance of high protein and lower calories and fat as compared to using whole eggs. Then I chopped some veggies to add in it, including jalapeno for a bit of heat and some bell peppers, tomatoes and spinach. You can use any choice of your veggies that you typically add in veggie omelette. I popped this tray into the oven at 350 Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. By this time the chicken pulao was cooked. Rice had soaked in all the water. Usually I like to fluff out rice to avoid forming clumps as soon as it's cooked, but since this pot was too small, I immediately added the hot rice into meal prep containers. I garnished it with cilantro and my dinner was ready. At the time of eating, I will pair it with Greek yogurt. It adds more protein plus balances out the heat. Moving on to lunch, I kept it super simple with the shrimp pasta cooked entirely in one pan. This method not only saves time but also reduces cleanup, making it perfect for lazy meal prep days. I started by adding a bit of sun-dried tomatoes to a heated pan. I didn't spray any oil since these sun-dried tomatoes were already oily. While it was roasting, I chopped a couple of peppers finely and added them to the pan, and then chopped about 8 to 10 tomatoes. It's okay if the tomatoes are bigger chunks since they become saucy in this recipe anyway. I added the tomatoes to the pan along with a pinch of red chili flakes, salt and dried oregano. I gave it all a mix and let it saute for a few more minutes on medium heat. Once the tomatoes softened and released their juices, I added dry pasta directly to the pan. I know it sounds wrong adding dried pasta to the pan, but just trust the process. Make sure pasta is spread out into one layer and then add just enough water to almost submerge the pasta. Let it cook on medium to high heat for the same time as the pasta packet suggests. This one was 8 minutes. This way the pasta absorbs all the tomatoey goodness as it cooks. Also, the starch from pasta makes the overall dish very creamy without using any cream or cheese. Around this time eggs were cooked, so I took them out of the oven and let them cool down for about 10 minutes. Back to the pasta. When it was just about done, for protein I tossed in thawed pre-cooked shrimp. Before I mixed the shrimp in, I added some more of the same seasonings. I gave it all a good mix. Zero need for a separate pot to boil pasta. Genius, right? Finally, I added some chopped spinach for some greens. It wilts into the pasta immediately within a minute when it's hot. I added the pasta to meal prep containers, and with that, lunch was served. Or well, boxed. Back to the breakfast, one last step was turning these eggs into egg wraps. Once the eggs cooled down, I cut this chunk into 4 equal rectangles. For the wraps, I used these whole wheat tortillas. I got this pack of 36 tortillas from Costco a few weeks ago and they're never ending. I placed each egg piece on a tortilla and rolled them up. It's so much easier to wrap them when it's one chunk of eggs rather than multiple ingredients. I don't add any sauce inside these wraps so they don't get soggy, but at the time of eating, I toast them lightly and then add some hot sauce or chutney or ketchup, whatever I feel like. These wraps are portable, protein packed and perfect for busy mornings. I wrap them in foil for easy grab and go and so that the wrap doesn't unroll. And with that, my breakfast was ready as well. Thanks for watching the video and don't forget to like and subscribe for more lazy but delicious meal prep ideas.